Picture this. It's a quiet weekend, maybe you're finally catching your breath after a hectic week, glancing at your portfolio, feeling a cautious optimism. Silver, that asset so many have written off, is hovering near all-time highs, teasing the $94 mark. There's a sense of possibility in the air, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, the breakout you've been waiting for is finally here. If you're holding physical metal, you're watching years of conviction pay off. It's a moment of validation. But I need to tell you something critically important, something that changes the entire narrative. What looks like a victory lap is, in my analysis, the precise moment of maximum danger. We are standing at a crossroads where two undeniable truths exist simultaneously. Truth 1. Silver's surge is real, driven by fundamentals we've discussed for years. Truth 2. The price you see on your screen is a meticulously crafted illusion, a bear trap of historic proportions set to snap shut on the unwary. Understanding the difference between these two truths is what will separate those who preserve their wealth from those who watch it vanish in a cloud of margin calls and broken promises. Let's rewind to the close of business on Friday, January 17th. While most of us were wrapping up the week, the operators of the commodity exchange published a dry, bureaucratic notice. Buried within it was a single seismic sentence. Effective immediately, the initial margin requirement for long silver futures positions was cut in half, from 18% down to just 9%. Now, if you're not a futures trader, that might sound like jargon. But translated into plain English, the exchange just made it twice as easy and twice as tempting for the average person to load up on massively leveraged bets that silver will go higher. At a $94 price, a 9% margin means you're controlling over $11 of silver for every single dollar in your account. The potential gains are intoxicating, but here is the catch that changes everything. In a normal functioning market, when volatility and prices spike to record highs, exchanges increase margin requirements to curb reckless risk. They did exactly that as silver climbed from $50 to $70 last year. So why, at the very peak, would they suddenly do the opposite? Why make the casino twice as inviting right when the stakes have never been higher? This is not an act of generosity. This is the bait. And to understand the full scale of the trap, we must look at the landscape it's set within. I've spent the weekend deep in the options market data, and what I found should make your blood run cold. Concentrated at the $100 strike price for contracts expiring on January 31st is the largest pile of bullish call options in the entire history of silver. We are talking about 447,000 contracts. Each contract represents 5,000 ounces. The math is staggering. Over 2.2 billion ounces of paper silver, with a notional value in the hundreds of billions. The premium paid for these rights to buy at $100 totals approximately $5 billion. And here lies the brutal, beautiful incentive for the institutions who sold these options. If silver closes on January 31st at even $99.99, every single one of those contracts expires worthless. The sellers, primarily the large banks, keep that $5 billion as pure risk-free profit. Their ideal scenario is not a crash to $50. Their perfect outcome is a slow, euphoric grind to $99, luring in every last leveraged speculator, followed by a precise, violent smash that leaves the price just below the $100 threshold when the clock strikes expiration. This is the heart of the manipulation. The margin cut is the lure to get maximum leverage into the game. The wall of options at $100 is the finish line they are desperate to defend. The historical playbook is unmistakable. Cast your mind back to April of 2011. Silver was soaring toward $50, the air electric with talk of a new paradigm. The exchange cut margins, inviting in a frenzy of speculative buying. The price kissed $49, and then, within days, margins were hiked a staggering 84% overnight. The resulting crash vaporized 30% of silver's value in a week, liquidating an entire generation of bullish traders. The same script played in September 2020. The pattern is not a coincidence. It is a weapon. Now, this is where I need to share my personal speculation, my read on the chessboard as it stands. With the margin cut now in effect and the options expiry looming just days away, I believe the path is set. We will likely see a surge early this week, fueled by this new cheap leverage and rampant enthusiasm. The headlines will scream of $100 silver. Social media will be alight with celebration. This euphoria is the final stage of the trap being set. The real move, the engineered collapse, will likely come in the final 48 hours before that January 31st expiry. It will be swift, brutal, and designed to trigger a cascade of automated sell orders and margin calls, precisely nudging the price back under that critical $100 level. The goal is not to destroy the market, but to harvest the wealth of those who bought the hype at the most vulnerable moment. And this leads me to a crucial point I want to make about staying informed in a market this manipulated. If you're finding this breakdown valuable, connecting these dots between dry exchange notices and real-world consequences, then you understand this is a different kind of analysis. To follow this story as it unfolds, to see how the next moves on this chessboard play out, I urge you to subscribe. The coming days will be a masterclass in market mechanics, and you'll want to be watching with clear eyes. The evidence of this setup isn't just in the margins and options. It's in the actions of the very players who have long dominated this market. Just last week, a major bank, historically one of the largest short sellers of silver, published a research note enthusiastically recommending their clients buy silver for a run to $105. When your perennial adversary suddenly urges you to charge forward, it's prudent to ask what they see over the hill that you don't. Furthermore, on the same Friday the margin cut was announced, over 3 million ounces of silver were physically withdrawn from the exchange's vaults, a significant portion linked to that same bank's house account. The narrative seems contradictory, publicly bullish, yet privately pulling tangible metal off the exchange at $94. Unless, of course, they are taking delivery of physical value before orchestrating a paper price decline to later repurchase that same metal at a lower price. It's the oldest mercantile trick in the book. Buy cheap, sell dear, amplified by 1,000 in the digital age. So, what does this mean for you? The long-term thesis for silver remains, in my view, unshaken. The industrial demand from sectors like artificial intelligence, which consumes silver in servers and semiconductors with no regard for price, is a tectonic shift. The supply deficits are real. The geopolitical fracturing of supply chains is undeniable. Silver is going materially higher over the next 12 to 24 months, but the short-term path is a gauntlet designed to separate you from your capital and your conviction. Therefore, your strategy must be built for survival. If you hold physical silver, your only job is to do nothing. Do not be tempted to trade your tangible, scarce asset for depreciating currency at what is, in the grand scheme, a waypoint. If you are looking to enter the market, focus solely on acquiring physical metal you can hold, even if you pay a premium over the spot price. You are not buying a ticker, you are buying atoms. And in the scenario I foresee, the difference between those two concepts will become devastatingly clear. For those enticed by the paper markets, the greatest discipline may be to stand aside entirely during this period. The volatility will be weaponized against you. As we approach the end of this analysis, I want to offer a final thought, a piece of my own speculation on the broader stakes here. The desperation to defend the $100 level isn't just about the $5 billion in option premiums at stake this month. It is about a psychological barrier. $100 silver shatters a decades-old narrative. It transforms the metal from a semi-industrial commodity into an undeniable monetary asset in the public consciousness. It prompts questions about currency devaluation that the system would rather not answer. The defense of this number is a defense of a crumbling story. The week ahead will be volatile. You will be tempted by greed and terrified by fear, often within the same hour. This is by design. The only way to win is to refuse to play their game on their terms. Hold what is real. Ignore the paper puppeteers. The true breakout, the sustainable move, will come after this options expiry drama has concluded, after the weak hands have been shaken out. The fundamentals have not changed. Only the noise has reached a deafening crescendo. See the trap for what it is, and you will not be its victim. You will be positioned with clarity and patience, for the real move that follows.